Raybon Johnson. I'm an analyst within the Kinship Compass unit. My manager, Patrice Coleman, will be presenting alongside my other colleague, Mandy.
Thanks, Gia. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Like she said, we'll just give it a moment or two before we move forward in case there are any other folks that would like to join. But yes, my name is Patrice Coleman, and I supervise the Kincentric Compass Unit, also known as KCCU. You probably heard that a few times in our, production that we did a few minutes ago. So welcome. Thank you for being here, and I'll go ahead and let Mandy introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone. Mandy, I'm one of the analysts with the Kincentric Compass Units, and we are excited to present to you all about kinship care in California. So thank you for joining us. And if we're ready to start, I will pass it back to Patrice.
I think we are. I just want to double check that our producers are here. I see Michelle and I believe Corey. So thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. All right, so we can go ahead and jump in. Welcome to today's breakout session. We are going to be presenting on kinship care makes a difference, and it is of course presented by my team, Gia, alongside with Mandy. We also had, you'll probably notice in the video, we had one more team member, Ashley Johnson, who is actually out of the office today. So, but she's sorry she missed it, but I'm sure you'll come across her at some point in the near future. So. Next slide, please. Perfect, thank you. All right, so this is what we are trying to just achieve, and I know that the state is trying to achieve this as well as a kin first culture. Next slide, please. All right, so what is a kin first culture? It is essentially, I try not to just read slides word for word, but I want everyone to hear this, see this, and understand what we're trying to do here. So a kin first culture exists when systems that engage with children and families consistently prioritize and partner with relatives and extended family members. We adopt policies, practices, trainings, and accountability structures that, one, require every effort to keep children safely at home. And if a child must be removed, partner with the family to identify the safest placement with relatives and extended family members. So when a child, as it says, must absolutely be removed, it's really important for the child to be able to, obviously given their age appropriateness, but also engaging with the child. Who do you feel safe with? Whether it be, sometimes they may see, say, a lady in the lunchroom, or I feel safest with my auntie or my mom's best friend. So we just want to make sure that we also get the child's voice too, again, age appropriate, because being taken out of your home obviously has very traumatic detriment on children and youth, and placing them with the closest thing they feel to a connection and to family is of the utmost importance. So we want to make sure that kin first culture gives families and communities the opportunity to heal from that trauma together, from being removed in the first place, if that is indeed necessary. Next slide, please. All right, so our approach, so CDSS did partner with UC Davis to launch the Center for Excellence in Family Finding, Engagement, and Support. It is a resource hub essentially to support counties, tribes, and community-based organizations to strengthen their kinship care practices. The work prioritizes placing children, as I mentioned before, with relatives and maintaining family connections, as well as cultural connections, specifically for tribes when it comes to children that have that tribal connection, and they are able to attend cultural activities such as powwows and various things like that. We also offer technical assistance and resource development. And one of the key components of the initiative is the Excellence in Family Finding, Engagement, and Support Program, also known as EFFIES, because CDSS is we love acronyms. So we acronym everything. And with that said, I'll go ahead and give a little bit more information on this next key initiative. So next slide, please. Thank you. So we also want to make sure that this work is grounded in racial equity and builds on the work being done across the state, because we know that there is so much great work being done across the state in various counties. And as I mentioned, the FE's program is also a demonstration of that. We'll touch a little bit more on that later, given the fact that several counties have opted into this program, and that just says they want to expand on the great work that they're already doing. So thank you. Next slide, please. All right. Why this matters. The purpose is to strengthen the system so relatives can step in earlier and have that earlier engagement, and also reduce the trauma, promote stability for children and families. It's also building on the capacity to improve engagement practices and ensure that kin caregivers have the support that they need. And we need to make sure that it's meaningful support as well. Indicators of this information is increased kinship placements and permanency outcomes, as well as trauma-informed and culturally responsive approaches. And children and youth remain connected to family, community, and culture. And some of the ways that we are able to identify some of these key indicators is via our data profiles. So in partnership with KC Family Programs, as well as our UC Berkeley teams, we were able to develop 58 different county profiles that has the information on their kin first placements, predominant placements. So essentially it is one resource in one document that gives a lot of information on all 58 counties. One of them is for the 0 to 17 age range. And we also have 0 to 5 profiles. And again, we have both types of profiles for all 58 counties. So if you are interested in something like that to review what the numbers look like in your county, feel free to reach out, and we'll also provide the contact information later. But that is some of the ways that we are identifying some of these indicators. Next slide, please. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to shift over onto Mandy. So I will let Mandy take it from here.
Thanks, Patrice. So now that we've grounded ourselves in why this work matters, we'll just talk a little bit about how the initiative came to be and the timeline for FEs. So this work's evolved through the broader statewide efforts to really strengthen that kinship care, and for FEs, the initiative. So the Center for Excellence continues to expand its reach and support the scaling of Kin First across counties. A little bit about the program. Counties and tribes had an opportunity to opt in. It's from the Budget Act of 2022. The Center for Excellence was allocated $150 million in one-time funding. And so this funding actually became available in fiscal year of 2022-23. And all the counties and tribes that opted in, they will have until June 30th of 2027 to use their funds. Next slide, please. So where we are with this, as you all know, California is really moving towards that kin first culture, and counties are definitely focusing on implementing these kin first practices. They're strengthening their family finding and engagement efforts and supporting local systems. We're doing that by providing them technical assistance and partnerships. To date, we have 47 counties and 36 tribes that have opted into the program. How that worked is there was an ACL that went out 23/12, and we'll link that for you towards the end of the presentation. And they were able to submit a plan and basically inform us how they wanted to use these funds that were available to them for their family, to strengthen their family finding engagement. So the counties and tribes that have opted in, they are actively utilizing their funds. They're also participating in trainings and peer learning collabs, as well as advancing their kin first practices within their departments. Next slide, please. So this is a little breakdown of the counties that have opted in. When they submitted their plans to opt into the FES program, they had an option to opt in jointly with their probation department, or they could have opted in individually. So what you're looking at here is 26 child welfare counties that opted in. And next slide, please. And here we have 14 that opted in with child welfare and probation jointly. This kind of just shows you the cross collaboration that's happening between departments. And it's really great to see that they're working closely to help implement that Kin First culture. Next slide, please. And here we have 7 individual probation departments that opted in to FEs. And each county and tribe that opted in, depending on their size, received their own certain allocation. And that was also linked as part of a CFL that was linked to the ACL 2312. So if that's information anybody wanted to know, like how much money that their county or tribe received, we'd be able to provide that for you. Next slide, please. So how are counties using FES funds? When they submitted their plans, a lot of these counties wanted to strengthen their practice. And in order to do that, they needed to hire more staff. So a lot of them are using the funding to hire social workers and specialists to identify that are going to help identify and engage relatives early on in their process. So that's helping them expand the family finding engagement staff piece. They're also using it for the strengthening, training, and practice by, again, we talked a little bit about implementing trauma-informed, culturally responsive family finding models. And they're also leveraging training and technical assistance. They're embedding Kin First practices into casework, and they're really integrating the family finding into case plans. So as well as the CFT meetings they're having and any ongoing engagement. Next slide, please. They're also using the funds to support kin placements. So that's removing any barriers. That's addressing any financial or logistical relational barriers. They're also utilizing another funding source that works in collaboration with FEs is the flexible funds and support. They're building lifelong family connections. They're identifying permanent connections with placement, with kin, when kin is not possible. So they're creating ongoing support networks. And they're partnering with community-based organizations. We have a lot of counties that are collaborating with Seneca, Wayfinder Services, other community agencies that will help expand that Kin First capacity. Next slide, please. The funds are being used to really drive that system change. And so they're doing that by advancing that Kin First culture through policy changes, training, practice changes, and they're exploring new approaches. So that's implementing strategies such as the Kinship Navigator program. Next slide, please. So another phase of implementing Kin First culture is our Kin First Accelerator program, and I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Gia to talk more about that.
Thanks, Mandy. All right, just want to make sure. I know there was a little lag earlier. Everybody can hear me okay if you put thumbs in the chat. Noah's getting close to lunch. Everybody's getting hungry. Perfect. So can we go to the next slide? Okay, I'm going to start off with a quote from our deputy director, and it says, statewide, we only have 30 to 40% of youth individually placed with kin, only 50 to 60% of kids predominantly placed with relatives, and only 60 to 70% of kids have stability. We can do so much better. This is how the accelerator idea was born. Let's talk about a way to improve these outcomes that is very intentional. And that is how KCCU actually came about. So this is one of the larger projects that our unit has taken on. It's been a success. It has been invigorating to see how the counties have been participating outside of just the opting in, like Mandy said, opting into the FEs, but actually putting those dollars to use. And part of the accelerator program allows the counties to do so. We have 8 cohort counties that are a part of it. It's Alameda, Butte, Kern, Riverside, Sacramento, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Stanislaus. Within these 8 counties, they're supported by some of our partners, which are Think of Us, UC Davis, and KC Families. Let me just take a moment and pause because I gave some data, and oftentimes we throw data out there and we dehumanize the children that are impacted in those numbers. So later on in the presentation, you'll actually get to see one of the stories on how not being a part of a Kin First culture, but then a Kin First implementation came in and helped this family. And so you actually get to see how this has been impactful. Next slide, please. So at the onset of this program, we decided, the group decided that there needed to be some impact areas for successful outcomes. How we came to getting that is beginning in February of 2025 through July. I may be off by a month or so. It was either July or August. We did in-person launches with those 8 accelerated counties. We took some of the data. We did kinship sprints. We also provided a 360 review, which provided their county data that included first placement with relatives, placement with siblings, placement stability at 12 and 24 months, placement stability in 4+ placements at 12 and 24 months, disproportionality and disparity by first and predominant race and ethnicity, and complex unmet needs. We took all of that data, put it into a comprehensive report, and we took that to the in-person launch and we did a data showcase. So we know that data tells a story. So we were able to tell each county's story so that they can see it, and so that we could also identify areas that were challenged and also opportunities where we could see where we could accelerate and expand their current policies and practices. So some of the impact areas that were identified after the launch were prevention, which is fewer children entering or remaining in non-relative care; practice change, earlier proactive family finding and engagement. And one of the things that we did here is that there is no staff, or there's limited staff to actually do family finding at the onset of a case review. So when they get that call for the emergency placement, oftentimes, especially like in one of the counties, which is San Bernardino, SCRTPs has been the go-to. But understanding that if family finding is engaged in the very beginning of that placement, then it limits some of the trauma that the children experience, and also some of the families. Equity, more culturally connected placements for impacted communities. One thing we also heard is that oftentimes tribes are an afterthought. So we wanted to make sure that we were being intentional with just not including the disproportionalities by our Black and Brown kids, but we also wanted to ensure that the tribes were included in that as well. And then system change, policies and workflows to support Kin First placement. Again, we talked about family finding and engagement. So using those FES dollars to actually find a way to get more staffing and change some of the policies, and just begin some of the conversations on how we can implement this into our current work. Our intended outcomes would be to increase first placement with kins from day one. So again, family finding, doing the vetting to see if there is a not just a trusted relative, but also our communities, non-family members, coaches, grandparents, people from church, or anyone that may be a trusted source to this child that also could be a benefit in this situation. Improve early identification and engagement for these relatives. Reduce delays and barriers to kinship placement. Oftentimes, kin caregivers are not chosen, or they feel that they are not eligible to, because receiving a phone call at the drop of the hat and saying, I can't take this kid in, can be traumatic to the family member as well. So instead of just completely keeping them out of the equation, we want to wrap support around them to see what the challenges may be. It could just very much be that they don't have transportation. It just could be that this child is in an extracurricular activity after school and they don't have a way to get them there. Or they may already have 3 grandchildren that they're caring for and may have the extra room, but just may not have an extra bed. So just ensuring that we're having these conversations and including the family at the onset is very important. And strengthening consistent kin first decision making at intake. Again, having those conversations with the kids as well, asking them instead of assuming that they don't have a unit or a community. Who is it that you can trust? And I believe Patrice touched on that at the beginning. Like, who is a trusted source for you that we can, again, wrap around you to support you as we go through this difficult situation? Next slide. So prevention in action. This work supports prevention by engaging relatives early and intentionally, helping children remain connected to their families and communities whenever possible. By strengthening these connections and supports, it reduces the likelihood of placement disruptions and deeper system involvement. What does prevention action look like? Keeping children safely with family, reduce the need for foster care entry. Again, engaging our families and our communities. Oftentimes, another area that's neglected is the father side of the family, engaging the father side of the family, or all sides of the family. Oftentimes, it may just be the primary parent if it's not a 2-parent home. So just making sure that all of the family has the opportunity to be engaged. Promoting early family engagement and identification of kin. Strengthening family networks to prevent placement disruption. So if that child is placed with the family, what can we do to support the family to keep that child there? Again, some of the challenges that the kin caregivers provide, what resources do we have that we can extend that can keep that child there instead of the child being placed in another home? And addressing the barriers before they escalate into system involvement. Next slide, please. And what this means for families. So by prioritizing family connections and strengthening support for kin caregivers, this work helps create stable, nurturing environments where children and families can thrive. It recognizes that strong relationships and trusted support systems are key to long-term safety and well-being. I'm not sure about you, but my grandparents were key and vital in me growing up. And I know that I would not have become and gone on to do some of the things that I did without the impact of my grandparents. So again, making sure that we are touching the family at all levels to see how we can minimize the trauma, though the families are facing these situations, but also not just to minimize the trouble, but also to help these kids have a healthy and happy environment. So that means promoting family unity and healing from trauma. That could mean not just counseling for the child and the family separately, but maybe counseling for a kin caregiver. Ensuring children maintain lifelong connections. That could be as simple as a birthday party with somebody from their classmate. How do we keep them engaged with something that can be seen as fun? We know they spend a great deal of time at school. So how do we keep them connected with their friends? Supporting equity, especially for disproportionality impacted communities. Again, I mentioned tribes. How do we culturally support these children in these communities? And building systems that partner with families rather than separate them. Another thing that we often don't see or speak about is siblings. Oftentimes, siblings are split up amongst homes. What can we do to keep siblings together? And if we cannot keep them together once they are placed, what type of connection can we give and support that allows them time together as a family outside of the home that keeps them connected? Next slide, please. And how you can take action. Take a closer look at how relatives are currently identified and engaged. Again, we're doing some really good work with the counties where they're having to kind of comb through their current practices and their policies and see how they can implement kin caregiver into the fold with their current into their system and change the culture, because we know that kin first is not the current culture, but it is on the heels of becoming the next culture. And strengthening relationship-based engagement practices. Partnering with community-based organizations to build trust with families. Again, your local churches, other organizations that could be beneficial. Again, extracurricular activities, those types of things. Identifying opportunities to embed kin first approaches into everyday practice. And last but not least, connecting with the CFE for support, tools, and technical assistance. Patrice mentioned it. we do TA hours with the counties to just start the conversation about what, not necessarily what they're not doing, but how we can add to what they are already doing and just support. Next slide, please. So I mentioned turning those numbers into faces, and this actually is a story of Harmony, who gets to share the impact of the removal of her children and then how Ken First came in and was able to help. So after this, Patrice will pick up, but I'm not sure who's going to play the video, but
Yes. Thank you, Gia. That was fantastic. And like she said, we're going to go ahead and put all of this information and numbers, data, all of that into the story that we are ready to share with you. So you can just see how it can first help families thrive. And I believe our producers will be able to play the video for us.
Do I just click the link?
Yes, please.
Okay. Can everyone see? Can everyone see?
We can't see the video yet, no.
Let me share. Can everyone see?
Yes, we can see. If you could
Okay.
just maximize the video so we can get a full screen on that.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
What I would have needed to have felt more supported when Little Bear was taken and put into foster care would have been at least some kind of communication between the social worker and I. I wasn't offered many services. I was just in the dark about a lot of things. I got pregnant with my second son, Xavier. I got clean halfway through the pregnancy and they detained him like a week after I brought him home from the hospital. It brought up a lot of feelings for me. He was with a stranger again, but I continued to stay clean, and then ICWA got involved. And ICWA came in and they wrapped their arms around me and made me feel like we were connected, and they assured me that everything was, going to be okay, and they were there to support me. When ICWA got involved, Xavier was removed from the foster parent and placed with his grandmother, Georgia. We didn't always have the best relationship, and, rightfully so. I understand. I was in my addiction and she wasn't happy about it. We really changed our relationship around and worked to build a really healthy one with healthy boundaries, and we just worked together to love Xavier. I'm really grateful for the relationship that we had now. I got more and more visits, and sure enough, before I knew it, we were in family maintenance, and then 6 more months, our case was dismissed. It is a very challenging and traumatic time for both the child and the parent, but I feel early on placing them with a family member helps to maintain a sense of stability. You know that your child is taken care of. You don't have to worry about your child being mistreated. You know that your child is in a comfortable and safe place and that they're with somebody that loves them.
Okay, thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing that. We appreciate it. All right, so before we move forward, we hope you enjoyed that video, and I'm happy to actually share the longer version of that video. We have 2 different versions. One is the full 10-minute-ish or so, and then we have this shorter version that we can share out in various meetings. But given that we have an hour here, we definitely could have showed you the longer one. But nevertheless, we'll put it in the chat at some point. So I would like to invite you all to share any thoughts or feelings you may have after watching that video, because I know it's been me and my team talking this entire time. So I'd like to invite everyone, if you like, or you can put it in the chat, if you had any thoughts that you like to share after watching that video. So feel free.
I could share something. We had an experience with a close friend, and I understand how she felt when she didn't have that support, from the social worker, that they were just throwing so many things that, she needed to do when the children were removed, and felt lost, and didn't have like where to go and get that help, um like where to get her classes or anything. And right away just telling her, like, if you don't do what you need to do, your children will be adopted from someone, and knowing that the children were, one was very young, an infant, and was 5. They're like, and most likely, they're trying to stay together, the siblings, but when they get adopted, sometimes they most likely take sometimes the younger ones, the babies. And so, that caused mom like so much stress and like loss. And like she was asking for help, but the social worker wasn't really like helping much. Luckily, I knew a little bit of, how to help her. And we started looking for classes and everything, and trying to get everything organized. So it's true. Sometimes we don't have, families don't have that support, and they just feel lost. And that's, it's sad because they do want to recover their children, but, the system sometimes fails them and fails the children. And I'm glad now that, there is this support, that, there is for families that they do want to change. It's just that they need that help and that guidance to have, get their children back and get their life, in the right way, in the right road. And, I'm very happy to see, this video and be part of this training, because we do need this information out in the community. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Marta. We really appreciate that. Yeah, it's true that families can just get lost in the system and being told fill out this form, fill out that form, and not even really understanding what this or that form really means. So being able to have, just again, like I mentioned earlier, that meaningful support when it comes to all of the system jargon and the different forms and classes and things like that. So no, thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you so much. Would anyone else like to share?
I I would. I have this is my job, and I'm a prevention specialist. So learning about this kinship program and kin first culture, I like very much. I'm also going through a situation in my own family outside of this state where I'm a grandma preparing my house just in case at the moment. Um, this is in my opinion, it's best for the children to remain with family. And we do need to show parents another way, help them to take the classes, to get the things they need. We should be doing that. Sometimes they don't know. Oftentimes they don't know. So I'm finding myself really, that story really made me cry. Harmony's quite precious, and I hope she's doing well. But if the children can it all be with their own culture, with their own relatives, I think the children feel better, and they feel and they can strive and thrive better, and so can their parents. And so even though Harmony struggled with her I believe it was her mother-in-law. Of course, she's in addiction. Of course, they're going to struggle a little bit, but there's hope. And there's more hope when you have actual people that know you and care about you and your children and love you to support you than strangers. So I really agree with this from both sides of the fence. That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, we appreciate you sharing. There's so much love on the screen, so much love towards you and the situation, and we hope it goes well. One thing I am happy to share is that Harmony is doing really well. We did get an update on her sometime after the video was produced, but I believe she also did have a third baby. So Little Bear and Savior have a new sibling. So yeah, thank you for sharing. She's doing really well, and we wish the same for you.
And really quickly, just Cindy, thank you. Also, with the Center for Excellence, we also have resources for grandparents. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with that. When we give the resources at the end, tap into that. There's a lot of things that could be supportive to you in your situation, and also just in the line of work that you do. Patrice had made a good point about when Ken is presented with the information. There's so many things coming at them that they don't know. Oftentimes there is an immediate no because they feel like they can't meet all these obligations. And one thing that we're working towards is actually just listening, having the opportunity to listen and to hear what the challenges are, to see how we can implement that into the current practices. Again, we all know that a lot of counties are understaffed and the caseworkers are overloaded. But just to help make their work easier, just having those advocates in place to help, especially people like you and others, just know that they're being heard first, is so vital in the beginning of the stage of removal. Like you said, it's traumatic, just not for the children, it's the parents, the grandparents, anybody that's affected. So when we give the resources, please tap in because those resources are out there specifically for grandparents as well.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. This is so informative for me, and I'm sure for everyone on here. Thank you, and I will.
You're welcome. Thank you, Gia. Before we move forward, I just want to double check if there's anyone else that would like to share any thoughts on the video.
Hi, my name is Christy. I just watching the story about Harmony, and it's very commoveable for me because I come from a country where we don't receive anything like that. And we just, because I was mom when I was in 31, and I was passing for a lot of violence domestic. And a couple of times I almost lose my baby, and I was have a fear to don't have it. But when I had my baby, I have a fear to have it, because I don't have information what I'm gonna do. Nobody give you a book instruction how you're gonna grab a baby, right? So when I saw it, I almost dropped my baby with someone because I was feared that I don't know how to do it by myself. But I take the courage and I take the courage to come this country and see what opportunity my baby can have it to grow up with me. And now that I see this sister come, moved me a lot because when you're a mother, you have a courage inside of you. You say, I can defend my son. I can do whatever I can do for him, And even when I had to, my family held me, I don't feel enough for him. But now that I see him, that he's 12 and he's so smart and everything, I say, I do something well. I do something, good for him because I take the courage to do that. But now that I see this opportunity to a lot of women, they can take the choices. I said, wow, it's wonderful, because I don't have it over there, but I can see it in here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing. Yeah. And motherhood and having courage, I mean, it's a whole thing and it takes a lot of heart, and it's a special person to be able to do it. So we thank you and we appreciate you being here. And it sounds like your son is thriving because of the decisions that you made. So thank you. We appreciate you. All right. Anyone else? No? All right, then. Thank you. Next slide, please. All right. So as Gia mentioned earlier, we do have tools and resources. The primary resource here is the Center for Excellence website, which I will circle back with the producers on that because I wanted to do a walkthrough. So I don't know if I need to share my screen or how that would work. But nevertheless, we have a Center for Excellence webpage that Gia mentioned earlier. Some of the documents or publications that we have include the Kin First Policy Toolkit. We also have a bench and bar toolkit for our judges and attorneys. And we also have a tribal resource guide because, of course, we want to make sure that ICWA is the gold standard and that we are ensuring that our tribal partners feel supported as well as tribal families. We also have the All County Letter or ACL that Mandy mentioned earlier that has additional information related to the Excellence in Family Finding Program or EFFIES. So that is there as well. Mandy did also mention a couple of CFLs. One of those CFLs, it didn't come from our shop. However, it is the CFL that contains all of the allocation amounts for the child welfare agencies as well as the probation departments. So if there is interest in that, we are happy to provide those links as well. But so producers, Michelle and Corey, how should I go about doing the walkthrough of the web page?
I think it'd be best if you share your screen since it sounds like you know how to navigate the web page and everything. So I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and I did I don't know who it was, someone's advice in the beginning and close all 82 tabs that I had open. So we're just gonna go ahead and okay, yay, I'm back in. All right, so that's what when you close all 82 tabs, you end up closing the tab you need. Anyway, we're gonna try that again. All right, so I am going to share my screen here. I want okay, let's see what happens here.
Great. We are seeing the Center for Excellence Family Finding page.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to try and minimize this screen. Okay. All right, we'll just move that. Okay, so and Gia and Mandy, if you could stop me if necessary, because I can't see anyone right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So this is our Center for Excellence Family Finding and Engagement webpage. It is, like I said, a hub for resources, publications, and various types of information. Here we have essentially our videos section, transforming the lives of California's youth and families. So you already saw Harmony's story. We have a couple more. We have Crystal's story as well. We have the impact of Kin First placements. So we're happy to share these videos with you if you are interested in seeing them. So we are, I guess we could say, producers as well, so to speak. You are able to join our Center for Excellence email list, which this email will get you information on upcoming webinars, any upcoming trainings that are available, and these are all free of charge as well. So if you would like to get subscribed to receive information, you would just join the Center for Excellence email list right here on this link. The Center for Excellence also has an advisory committee. So this is basically a committee comprised of folks from various disciplines. We have tribal representation, we have judges as well. Who else do we have? Caregivers. We also have social workers. So just various disciplines that come together and help us push this work forward. So this is some information about our advisory committee. And here we also have a list. Like I mentioned, we have the tribal representation, which Alice J. Langton Sloan. She is with the Caddo tribe out of the Laytonville Rancheria. So I won't go through the entire list and I won't do that to you, but there is a list of our current members. And we also just received some new members as well. So some members had to, drop off for other commitments, but we did receive a few new members, so they'll be joining us as well. I'm going to go ahead and head back, and we're going to scroll down a little bit more. And here's the information that I was referring to earlier as far as resources. So you're also able to click this drop down, and it gives you a list of upcoming trainings. We also host a Kin First Academy series, which has proven to be a very valuable series. So just for the sake of it, I'm going to go ahead. And meaningful family finding, engagement, and support practices. That is see the different segments that we have. The first one is Foundations, Values, and Impact, Family Engagement Skills Lab, and Best Practices and Policies and Implementation. So these are basically broken up. So we don't have you on Zoom for hours on end. We don't do that to you either. We break it up into a series that is digestible for everyone. You're able to register here. Actually, it looks like we have a wait list for the next one, which is April 21st. The Skills Lab is still open for registration, taking place on April 30th. And then we have our last segment, which is taking place on May 27th. So this is where you're able to sign up for the Kin First Academy series if you're interested. We also have the micro learnings that we put together. These are basically 2-minute type of trainings that are available to, just give you information on the integrated core practice model. It gives impactful information containing knowledge and skills necessary to shift away from limiting beliefs and systemic barriers to basically cultivating and changing the way we think about family finding and engagement. So again, those are 2 to 3 minute type of trainings, and there's always a quiz at the end just to make sure you're retaining that information. I'm going to pick it up a little bit more, but for now, I'm going to pause and check in with Mandy and Gia to see if there's anything that I need to be aware of in the chat or should flag on the website.
Mandy actually got kicked out, so I think it's just me and you. But
Uh-oh.
another thing just wanted to lift up. Oh, Mandy's back. Another thing we just wanted to lift up that we have not discussed, and that's another disproportionality, is there is information also for how to support LGBTQ. So I know that often is a conversation that is not on the forefront, but we have been intentional about that and making sure that they and being very inclusive around that community as well.
Yes, thank you, Gia. Specifically, making sure that we are up to date on information that comes from our SOGI partners, which is the Sexual Orientation and Gender Identification. I almost had the entire thing, but we make sure that we are in touch with those partners to for any trainings that come up or any publications that are released, ACLs, ACINs, and what have you. And yes, we are trying to make sure that we stay inclusive as well. So thank you for lifting that up, Gia. Okay, so I did want to go ahead and, like I mentioned, we have videos earlier. Here's the video that you saw earlier, except it's the 10-minute version. So it's here as well that you can see Harmony's story. Then I wanted to take you over to our toolkits, which is a drop down here. As I mentioned, we do have the bench and bar toolkit for your judges, your attorneys, and social workers are able to access this as well. The most popular one is the Kin First Policy Tool Guide here. So there is an online version where you are able to just click and it'll take you to the page with information. We also have the tabs that are here on the right-hand side: upfront family finding and engagement, navigating emergency placements. So this really is a one-stop shop, this website. But if you like the hard copy versions, you are welcome to download that PDF by clicking here. And the PDF will pop up for you and you're able to take it out, print, mark it all up, what have you. So that is available as well. Last but not least, in this very brief walkthrough, The information that we were referring to earlier, the all county letters that we've provided or sent out, 23-12 gives the information on the FES program, as well as we had a follow-up, ACL 24-75, which basically announces updates to the FES program. The changes enable counties that do not have a full-time family finding worker due to insufficient caseloads to request authorization from CDSS to participate in the FES program by using a portion of the family finding workers' time. So essentially, what we came across was that small counties were having this barrier because they did not have a full-time family finding worker. So, but we wanted them to participate and be able to opt in and get the funding that they are allocated. And instead of using that full-time family finding worker, they were able to use a portion, or excuse me, not a full-time family finding worker. And here are the county fiscal letters that we discussed earlier as well. I believe it's CFL 2223-52 that has all of the allocation information, and it is broken down by county and child welfare agency and probation. These are also our ATLLs, which are all tribal leaders letters. And this is basically adjacent to the ACLs that we send out, except they're specifically addressed for tribes to be able to access the funding and participate in the Excellence in Family Finding program. All right. And then we also have information on, this is more so for the, the counties that have opted in. We don't, implementing these model programs is not mandatory, but they are CDSS approved, and we do encourage counties to try and implement one of these model programs that essentially is a way to enhance their family finding practices. For example, we have Aaliyah Innovations, Cultural Brokers, the family finding model, which I believe is Kevin Campbell. We also have Connect Family. So there's various model programs that are CDSS approved. And yeah, I'll go ahead and stop there to give everyone a minute to digest. I know I just kind of threw a lot of information at you, but I basically gave the main points of this website. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And I believe the link was put into the chat as well. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Again, I know that was a lot of information, but is there any questions related to the Center for Excellence website? All right. Well, that makes me happy. That tells me it was pretty straightforward, which is what I always go for. All right. If there are no questions, we can go ahead and move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so how you can stay connected with us is to reach out to the Center for Excellence at dss.ca.ga.gov. This website, or excuse me, this email is monitored daily by our team. That includes myself, Gia, Mandy, and of course, Ashley, who I mentioned is out today. But this is how you can get in touch with us. We are always checking, always responding. If there's any questions that may pop up later that you need answered, or just to, I don't know, update us, we're happy to get those updates as well. So there's that. And if I'm not mistaken, that might be the second to last slide. Next, please. All right, this is our time for Q&A. And look, we have about 5 minutes left. So it tells me we did some good timing. And this time could be for you all to, again, share your thoughts, ask any questions you may have. We're happy to help and answer those questions. I mean, that tells me again that this was pretty straightforward. It tells me we did our job. So that's what I like. But
I do want to mention the advisory committee that Patrice mentioned. We do enrollment for new committee members every year. So we actually just closed and we're starting our committee for this year. But be on the lookout because we do send out an email if there's interest. So please, if that piques your interest, apply, forward it to some of your colleagues. Again, she mentioned some of the people that are a part of that committee, but also one of the most important is we do have youth with lived experience as part of that committee. So if you do see an email coming out probably towards the end of the year, please reach out to us at the email and we will make sure we get you that information.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gia, for putting that out there too. All right. Are there any other questions, thoughts?
I just want to ask you,
Yeah.
I'm a part of the, Hispanic community, and some of this information can be shared too in Spanish to be more clear with the community, because some people just want to know more about it and they don't find a way to just see clearly the information, a specific in this area. Most of the people come in with me and they say, oh, I would like to know this part, or what can I do, or where can I go? So is this information be available in Spanish too?
Well, that's a really good question. And I think that is something that can be done. I don't see why not. For example, our toolkits, those can possibly be transferred, or excuse me, for the word I'm looking for, transcribed, one of those words, into Spanish. So we're happy to look into that and see what we can do, because I think that is actually let's see, Gia, I believe there is a language option. Oh, well, that's good. So if there is one, if you could put your email in the chat, I'll do a little bit of research on that. And if there is a Spanish option available, I'll go ahead and send it to you. Thank you for lifting that up.
So I kind of have a question. Please forgive my voice. So I'm from Sierra County. We are in Sierra County, which is a tiny county. And I work for the Family Resource Center as the prevention specialist here. But I'm like, does this funding need to go through DHSS, or am I going to find the answers in reading through the website that I need to see how I can help?
Um,
Do
I
you
mean,
understand my question? That was the sketchiest question. I'm sorry.
it sounds like you're asking if you need to contact DSS
Mhm.
over getting this. So my recommendation is that website, the Center for Excellence website, is very robust. But again, we also try to make sure it's digestible as well. So I recommend taking a look at the website, browsing the toolkits to get the information you need. And again, if something is not there, or it's not clear and it needs to be clarified, feel free to reach out to the Center for Excellence, and which again, that'll be me, Gia, Mandy, and Ashley. So amongst the four of us, we'll be able to get your question answered.
I think my executive director will help too. He's going to be happy to hear that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I don't know if that's like our sign to like we're ending.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you everyone. We appreciate your time and for joining us.
Make sure you fill out the webinar or survey. Scan here for the information on our next webinar as well. I really appreciate everybody coming out.